Hello again and welcome to PR Presents. Hope you've all been keeping well out there. Well, for those of you that are frequent shoppers in Worcester, Solihull, Hereford, just to name a few places, there's a voice and face over the years you would have become familiar with. Well, today I'm pleased to be catching up with the singer, guitarist and songwriter himself, Max Stockin. How are you?
Hello, I'm alright, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Well, Max, we'll start off then with your musical journey and, well, where exactly did it begin for you?
I was quite late into it, really. I mean, most people start off and they're like, 9 or 10 or something, or even younger. But for me, I was 17. I'd never really thought about music before. It was always there, but was never really into music. And then I first heard Queen, and I was with my mum. We were watching some TV program. I can't remember what it was. And in the advert break, "Don't Stop Me Now" came on.
Classic.
And I'd never heard it before, which sounds insane. I'd never heard the song before. And I said to my mum, "Oh, who's this? I like this. This is great." She went, "It's Queen. You must know who this is." And I said, "No, I've never heard it before." So I went upstairs and typed it into YouTube and started listening from there. And then the love just grew from that, mainly for Queen to begin with for the first year or two. And then it expanded into other things. And then, I got into music myself. Then I thought, well, I want to do music for a living. And that's kind of where it started. So I was about 17, really. But I wasn't playing an instrument to begin with. The first year I was just singing and just enjoying music and just getting into music, and then 18 onwards I started to learn the instruments and
So obviously Queen is perhaps in the group that's given you your biggest influence. Were there other bands as well that it inspired you?
Queen initially, I wanted to be literally like Freddie Mercury, going onto stage and just singing, and because they're a hard band, because they've got such a unique, wonderful sound. They are quite a hard band to replicate and cover to begin with. There's difficult band to cover. So I just drew off them as a band. I liked what they were about, and they're just how they got to where they got to. But more in terms of my own writing and songs and I suppose my own sound is bands like the Beatles, because that's the second band I really got into, because of my family. My two uncles were massively into the Beatles, so they naturally came next. From there into their influences, which are the early rhythm and blues artists and blues and that folk, a little bit of folk as well. And it kind of grew from there. And my influences have changed over the years. I have more modern influences now. To begin with, the Beatles, definitely. That's where I kind of thought, I reckon I can play this sort of stuff a lot easier than I can play with Queen, because Queen is so, you can't really do a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody. It's hard, but you can do a cover of 8 Days a Week, if that makes sense. It's a lot more easier to replicate.
Well, I first met you in 2017, 3 years ago now, when yourself and Ryan McNay, aka The Fidgets, very kindly offered to come in and help perform and be interviewed on a show that I was part of at Birmingham City University.
Yes.
How did you both meet each other?
We met on a music website. I was at college, actually. About 18, 19. I wanted to be in a band. I didn't really know how to be in a band or how you did it. So my cousin had been to a music course in Digbeth, South Birmingham College.
Oh, yeah.
He'd been there and he said the course was fantastic, and he was just getting into music himself. And I said, I might try that then. My real aim was to meet people who wanted to be in a band. That was my dream. Because I had a job at the time and I was happy doing the job, and I wanted to just be in a band on the side and really push that like a hobby and hopefully make it full time. So I thought if I joined this college course, I could try and get a qualification out of it, which sounds bad, but I wasn't really that bothered about that. I was trying to meet other musicians, really. So I joined the course. It was a 2-year course, and I did form a band, but then unfortunately we all fell out. So after about a year and a half, I was like, well, I need to get something else. So there was a website I heard called Join My Band, which I started to look at. And Ryan was the first advert that came up, and I answered it, and then we met about a month afterwards in Bromsgrove, where he lived, and it just grew from there, really.
Obviously, since then you've gone solo with Max Stockin Music and performed, I believe, at a number of venues, doing your own sort of gigs and stuff. Do you prefer doing an actual gig where there's like a set formula, if you like, or do you prefer, if you like, the spontaneity of open mic?
Gigs are always good because, you get paid, so that's always a kind of a nice bonus. But it depends. Open mics are great because gigs. Obviously, the gigs quite a big area, because you can have gigs where you put your own show on. You sell tickets and put your own show on, which is great, but it can be hard because you've got the added pressure of trying to fill the venue, get people down, and all that. And it's not always guaranteed payment either. But if you get a gig like a wedding gig, you get booked for a wedding or something, then you're playing covers, maybe your own stuff, but mainly covers. But it's paid, so they're always good. I do it full time, so that I always need those. But it's nice when you do shows. We've done a few with the Fidgets. I haven't done one on my own yet, a proper show. I'm not doing shows just yet. I'm still working on stuff. But where we've played in Worcester and things, and we've really got a lot of people into a venue, and the atmosphere is unbelievable. You can't beat it. But then open mics are great. If you go to like a new city or somewhere, a nice cool bar in a city, or even a good town with a good music scene, and you go to a good open mic, and it's rammed, you know, and you meet all sorts of musicians. And even if you get up and do 3 or 4 songs, but you go down really well, that's just as good. So it depends. But if you get to an open mic where there's no one there and you go to do 4 songs and no one's bothered, it's just like, oh. But then it could be the same with a gig. It really depends on the atmosphere, the circumstances, and really what you're in it for. Because some people don't do open mics, some people are just in it for the money. But I like to do all sorts, really. Yeah,
it's good to have a bit of a variety, isn't it, really? But and also as well, and as a busker, do you? I mean, something else I've sort of wondered. I mean, do you tend to sort of start the day off again with a sort of a, if you like, a playlist, or do you tend to sort of like have again the spontaneity where you think, actually, that song's just come into my head now?
It's a bit of both, but more the second part. You kind of judge on the situation. Because I try and put a new song into my busking repertoire every week. I try and put a new song in there. I'll do it about 5 or 6 days a week. More 4 or 5 days a week. Sorry. Obviously, after that much time, you do into your head. You just know you're set inside out. I treat it like a gig, really. I never repeat the same song. I always do like a nice set order. So, yes. But it depends. Today, you might get a little crowd of people that gather around, and of course, you're playing stuff there that people know. You don't want to play something slow that no one knows. But there's always a place for that as well. If there's not many people walking past, but you need to fill some time up. There's no 2 busking sessions are the same. Every single one is different, and you can go to one place one week and it can be amazing. You can make a ton of money and the reaction's amazing. And you go next week and it can be the next week and it can be really quiet. You just can never predict it. So you got to have a good set of like 2.5, 3 hours of varied material. Some stuff that people don't know because that can fit in. Some stuff that people do know because that obviously always works. And just be prepared to, like you said, think on the spot. You know, you might in your head think I'll play these next 5 songs. You've already thought it out. And then all of a sudden someone comes along and the crowd gathers and it changes like that. So you always have to be prepared to kind of be able to play someone else, or, you know, some people might request things as well, you know, and you got to be think of.
I was going to say, you must get that, so.
Yeah, I mean, the same with gigs. You get requests at gigs and you can't learn every song under the sun. You just can't. It's not possible. And sometimes you say, no, I'm really sorry, I don't, but I can play this, I can play that. You know, I can learn it for next time or something, you know. It's just the way it is, really.
Have you found that writing music under this year's circumstances used to be, you know, rather deflating? Or has it in fact had the opposite effect where you think, well, actually the show must go on, and start to write some music for your fans who want to hear some new material?
My releasing process, my first original song came out on my own, came out in January, Better to Burn. I've recorded 8 songs so far to release every 2 months. So that kind of will get me through most of this year and next year. And I've got some other things I'm working on at the moment. So I wasn't really focusing on the writing. I was writing a lot last year, but now the main focus is releasing these songs that I've already written. And I'm going back to record some other stuff at the end of the year. I'm doing a collaboration with Ryan McMay actually in October, which will be pretty cool. Not as the Fidgets, but as just separate artists. We thought we'd do something together. But my main focus really was to get some stuff released. And when lockdown happened, I thought, well, this is a great chance to release some music because everyone's at home, everyone's on their phones a lot more. So, and I released a song called You, which was my 3rd release, which did fantastically well. I was so happy with the response. And that was because of lockdown. So it's a shame I couldn't go out and perform. But, you know, I could release it and get the music out to more people, which is the most important thing. Because then when next year comes around, and hopefully we can gig, there's more people that have heard it, so more people will come along and more people can enjoy it, you know.
Max, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure again, as always, catching up with yourself, and great to hear about these exciting plans that you've got ahead with the music on the way. And remember, of course, you can stream any of his music if you go into Spotify or Apple, iTunes, by searching for @Max Stockin Music. And of course, feel free to follow him on any of his social media pages. Okay, well, that's it for today. So do tune in again next time to PR Presents, and take care of yourselves.